Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation, Major to Career Success, brought to you by URI Parents Council in partnership with the University College for Academic Success and Center for Career and Experiential Education, along with the URI Foundation and Alumni Engagement. I'm Claudia Pryor. A little bit about me. I'm a member of the URI Parents Council since the fall of 2023 with my husband, Richard. That's mainly to find a way to serve our alma mater. We're both URI graduates. We have two children, both are students of URI. Our daughter Morgan is graduating this May, which I can't hardly believe. Her degree will be in business and math with a computer science minor. And our son Jimmy is a 2026 sophomore. He's pursuing his degree in computer engineering and a minor in math. I also check one more box. I work at the university for about a year now. I've been coordinating grad students in the chemical engineering program. But today I'm wearing my Parents Council hat, and I'm really excited to help facilitate this webinar today. The Parents Council strives to provide informative and timely programming to let you know about the services on campus, and we're looking forward to bringing you more programs such as this. Couple of quick housekeeping items. Today's presentation will be recorded, and a link to the recording will be available on the URI Alumni YouTube channel, so you can look forward to that. Another item is that we're asking to make sure that everyone mutes their devices, whether it's a phone or a computer. We don't want to have any feedback or background noises that might interrupt our presenters. And then if you have any questions, we're encouraging everybody to utilize the chat feature. And if there's time, as the presentation ends, those questions will be addressed. And now on to the reason we're here. We have two exceptional individuals who will take us through this program today, Major to Career Success, and I'm actually going to read so that I don't miss anything. We have Kim Stack and Audra Lavoie. Kim is an alumna and is the Executive Director of the Undergraduate Student Success and Academic Support. In her role, Kim oversees University College for Academic Success, and with her team members works with the university community to address institutional strategic priorities around enhancing student achievement, fostering an inclusive culture, and empowering the university for the future, as outlined in the University Strategic Plan, Focus URI. Audra Lavoie is also an alumna and is a career education specialist within the URI Center for Career and Experiential Education. In her role, Audra is committed to supporting student success through engagement in high-quality personal and professional experiences. Audra works directly with students in career advising and provides resource-related career and service-related advice. No doubt our students are fortunate to have such robust resources, and we're all going to learn a great deal from this presentation today. So it's my pleasure to turn things over to Kim.
Thanks, Claudia. Well, welcome everyone. We're happy to be here with you today. It's excellent when our family members and supporters make that choice to dedicate some time to being with us to learn a little bit more about the resources that are available, because we do share these things with your students. And at the same time, it's nice to have another set of ears to be able to hear this. So again, I am Dr. Kim Stack, and I am a three-time alumna of the institution, and just a testament to how much I really deeply appreciate and value the academic rigor of this institution. You'll see me with Rhody in this picture. There's more pictures of me and Rhody than there are with more other people. So it gives you a little clue as to our world. Audra.
Yes, and I'm Audra, Career Education Specialist. Claudia did a beautiful introduction. Also graduated from URI and have worked in a bunch of different areas, for-profit, nonprofit, different sectors, and all that stuff are the things that I get to bring when I'm working directly with your children.
So Audra and I are going to take you through some information regarding University College, into more in-depth the Center for Career and Experiential Education and what we offer to your students, just so you're all aware. most of you are probably aware of University College, but you might not be so clued in as to all the definitions as to who does what and how does this really help support your student on their journey from figuring out what am I determining as a major and what are the possibilities along the way that I can help myself as I persist into this career. So University College has a tiered system. We have academic advisors. So those are the people who are helping your students identify classes to enroll in. And they're looking at what are some of the intentional ways you can move faster towards your degree and to take courses that really matter so that the skill development that you're going to be having over the course of that semester is going to help you reach your goals towards that particular career goal. Within academic advising, we're helping all first and second year students. So we help prepare them for what they need to be doing in order to persist into their degree grant in college. So yes, your student was probably accepted into psychology. We make sure that in order to be proficient and ready for the rigor of the psychology program, that they do the right things leading up to that. They take their general education courses, they take some of their intro courses, and then we move them over to that particular major so that they're with their degree college success team who's going to support them there. We also work with our transfer students, student athletes, and we utilize a program called a platform called Starfish in order for students to be able to make appointments with all of these advisors. When they log into Starfish, they're able to see their success network. That means the people who are here for them throughout that semester to support their needs. So if they need to meet with a faculty member, that person is accessible through Starfish, or they meet with their advisor, or if they're utilizing disability access and inclusion, it's through there that they would use that. So in addition to our academic advisors, we have what you're probably familiar with by now, Academic Enhancement Center, which is where our tutoring is happening. And it's not only tutoring for specific courses where we do see more challenge for students, but it's also academic skills consulting. So for those students who are coming in who are saying, I really lack focus or motivation and I need some of that support in order to do better in my classes, in order to persist to my career, we encourage them to meet with academic skills consultants to help them on that journey. We also have a writing center because we know that the challenge from high school to college is making sure that they feel confident in utilizing and feeling confident in their classes. And one way to do that is to utilize some of these services to help set them up for success. We also oversee a first year seminar, URI 101. So for your first year students, family members in the group, your students have just completed that. And that should help students to understand better about what kind of resources were available to them. And then we also have an early alert program. So if you're on our website, you can see early alert, and that's for when we see that students may be in some kind of academic distress. So if a student wasn't attending class and the instructor noticed it and they tried to reach out, they usually utilize the early alert system to try to get a hold of that student in a different way and make sure they're back on track, doing the things that they need to do in order to persist. And of course, all of these things, making sure they're taking those intentional courses that they really need to persist in the major and then into an internship or their career, utilizing academic support services, and then learning from courses like URI 101 leads us into the Center for Career and Experiential Education, where they really do have a support system in place of people who are working with them to guide them on that path to what kind of experiential learning they should be doing in order to get into that career. Next slide, please. I love this because it gives us some substantial information to share with students to say, utilize the Career Center. We so want to utilize the Career Center in order for students to know more about what kind of internship opportunities there are and to persist into the job that they really hope to. And then the question that just came through, I just want to say, we do have transfer sections for URI 101, and that's for the student to determine, yes, they do want to enroll in that. I'm not sure if your student had wanted to do that, but absolutely, they absolutely can enter in to a URI 101 class. And if they're coming in this spring, we have 4 sections right now. We have 1 that's still open for students to enroll in. When we think about the people who are within the Center for Career and Experiential Education who are helping your students on this pathway, it has to be in these bubbles. So we have people who are employer and community relations who are reaching out to develop relationships with local and national community partners and employers to be able to bring them in to post jobs on our job platform. And then I would say for those who are hoping to come in and work with a faculty member, so we have certain employer partners who think, I have a great project I'd like to bring to campus. They work with our experiential coordinators to be able to do things like that. And then we have our career education specialists who are student facing. Those are the people who are working with your students on a regular basis whenever that student wants to come in. So yes, that other question that came through, just to respond to that before I pass this to my colleague. Students in their first and second year have a professional academic advisor within University College to help set them up for success. So they're taking all those right courses, the gen ed courses, in order to persist in the major. But then when they're in their degree granting colleges, yes, they're either meeting with another professional academic advisor for those second years, the third and fourth year, or they're meeting with their faculty advisor for that. So each college does a little bit differently, but you can always look on the people page of a website for the degree college in order to know that. Let me pass this to Audra.
You also, to add to what Kim is saying, Starfish is the system that she already mentioned. It's really the students' kind of like home base for scheduling appointments with people. In their Starfish system, there's a part that says network. And in the network, they can also see who the different people that they're working with are and their titles. So they always have kind of a couple areas they can check. So within the Career Center, or the Center for Career and Experiential Education, we have those 3 bubbles that we just talked about. One of the bubbles is my bubble, which is our career education specialist. We are the individuals who get to work hands-on, one-on-one with students, as well as in groups. So we get to teach courses, and that can be an internship course where the student is actively in an internship and they have the support of the course as well as each other to communicate with, or they're in that kind of exploration. So it might be something before they even go into searching for an internship, or they're working on that transition out and they want all those career tools. We also have a few other all career related courses that we teach. A lot of when I advise, I do a lot of talking about resumes, about the search, and really about paths. And oftentimes that is for those who are in their first or second year, am I in a major that aligns with my goals, or what are the options within my major? Where can my major take me? And then towards the end, towards those third and fourth years, usually they're going, all right, now how do I act upon it? Where can I build more experience? Within our team, also, just so you know, we all have dedicated majors. So we're happy to support each other in whatever way, but I have specific majors, Lisa does, Brandon does, so that way the students also have some consistency. We just updated this form. These are a great page. I'm going to click on them. Like I said, oftentimes we get asked those questions of the major and the career, especially when you're a student, because that's really where your mind is. You're a student and you identify as a student and you're thinking as a student. And so everything revolves around the major. So something that is fun and colorful. We have this part that's majors by cluster, and that begins to tell you how we think and how we can connect these, but also how we share our resources. So environment and sustainability, I advise in all these majors. I also advise in some others, and then my coworkers have different majors. So it allows the students to see the connection between their majors and others, because a lot of them have beautiful ways that they overlap as well as ways they're distinct. And then the other part being, all right, now tell me about the careers. We like to make sure that people understand there's not a one fit. There's a lot of different ways to get to your goal. It's just a matter of seeing what's the right way for you, what's a path you enjoy. So we talk a lot about these career options. And once again, of course, we love the visuals. Also on our page, so each major and each cluster has their own section. And this is like another one of these centerpieces that we keep bringing students back to because we've done a lot of work to get resources together. Sometimes I wear this outfit to match my picture, but not today. We also have our pictures right outside our office so students can find us easily. But that question about, okay, what can I do with my major? Each major, we have a snapshot of what are some of those areas of opportunities, who are the common employers, and some organizations. And this is just a snapshot. This is a beginning conversation for working with the student. Also on this, there's just a bunch of other resources, searching for those jobs or internships. We have a ton of resources, once again, by all the different majors. When they have questions about credits, these are all conversations we have with students, but also there's a self-service if they want to start investigating and getting some information themselves. For our experience, sorry, I'm checking the chat at the same time. Can parents access this? Yeah, so all the things on our website, you can access, alumni can access, the students can. It's our website. It's open to anyone. It's got great resources on it. So I definitely would encourage you to take a peek at it.
You wouldn't have access to Handshake though. That was something that I had put in the chat. You wouldn't have seen it yet, Audra. So it depends on what you're asking for access to, but your student does have access to Handshake through their SSO. So we'll get to that too.
And if you're an alum yourself, you could sign up in Handshake and have an account. If you're curious for your own searching too, it's a great resource. I definitely think dominant on the internships, but we also have a lot of jobs posted in there. For our experiential education coordinator, so the career education specialists, we're meeting directly with the students. Our experiential education coordinators are really that bridge between us and the faculty. So their goal is to support faculty in creating opportunities to have more of the hands-on employer workforce learning incorporated. They also really do an amazing job in getting classes connected to opportunities for like things we host, like career fairs. So making sure that they're aligned and they're convenient. They're really the people who understand our faculty needs and then represent them and represent us at the same time.
Next slide, please. Great. And these are some of the enrollments that we're seeing. So right now, there's over 200 courses that are coded as experiential learning. That could mean that it's a clinical opportunity. It could be an internship. It could be a project that an employer is bringing into a classroom. It could be service learning within the community. There's over 200 courses. And in addition to that, we're seeing almost 7,000 unique student enrollments in this. And can you go to the next slide, please? When you look at the total enrollments, students like to learn experientially. They love the opportunity to be integrated into something that's relevant, that matters, that's going to connect to their career. And so you see double those enrollments in total of all the different ways in which they're enrolling in courses that meet this. Next slide, please. One of the questions that just came up too was, when should you start? And honestly, I think students should start right away. I ask first-year students to even attend the career fairs because I think one of the most important things they could do is ask the employer What is it that you're looking for? What should I be doing these next few years to best prepare to be working with you? What do you look for when you're looking for someone to intern with you? And I love that. I think that that makes so much sense. So yes, we're going to have students who come attend a career event, and it makes sense for that at them at that moment, because they're looking for an internship for the next semester or 2 semesters from now, depending on their major. But yeah, starting early is always best. Audra, could you click on experiential coded courses? Thank you so much. When you scroll down, you can see these different types. You can go back up a little bit, please.
I got nothing.
So those different types of experiential opportunities. And then Audra, could you click on internship for just a second? Thank you so much. When you click on internship, you can see the different courses at the institution that are coded as internships. So this is something we use with students, just so that they're aware of what their options are for credit-based opportunities. So I do think this is helpful to students. One of you just asked, when are fairs held? And fairs are held throughout the year. We do have on our website an events section, so you can always click on the events tab. Actually, if you scroll to the top of this, is it on the, Audra, if you scroll to the top of this page, there it is. You see events. So if you look at events right there, it'll tell you, there we go. It'll tell you what's coming up. So those are the events that are happening soon. So you always have access to this too, okay? And then Audra, could I ask you to take us back to the slideshow and to the second link that's on that page? I also think it's important for families to know, and I put this link in the chat earlier, but advising by major. So let's just click for 1 second. If you scroll down, you can see all of the majors here. And when you click on this, you'd be able to see, sure, bio, that sounds fun. You see who the advisor is, and then see where it said curriculum sheet. Right now, this tells you what should the student be taking and at what point in time. And this is what they use to track how they've been going through those courses. And we also ask them to use this to plan for when is the right time for the internship based on their major, based on their curriculum and what their requirements are. So it's a little different for all students. So we can't just, I always, at this point, I wish I had a t-shirt that just says it depends, because it always depends on what the student's doing at that point in time. I'm just making sure, do students find their own internships? So yes, that is a great question, Lisa. They can do both. They can identify their own internships, and sometimes they do, or they can look through different platforms that we have to be able to search for internships. I always say meet with your career education specialist like Audra. I mean, Audra knows all of the happenings within the internship world. So she'll tell you based on her cluster of majors that she supports, what types of internships she's been seeing. And then as she gets to know the student, she can say, I'm going to make a few recommendations. Look at these things. See if these things make sense for you based on what you really think you want to do. So for example, she has us now in the Handshake platform where we're able to search right now for biology in real time. How fun. Internships. And then you can see what we have. Sometimes students narrow their search, and that can sometimes feel like there's not a lot of opportunity. We ask them to really open it wide because that'll show them more opportunities. The other cool thing, and we're going to get to it later, is using LinkedIn to do some of this as well and look at what your alumni are doing. So internships are national. So I see you're asking, are summer internships generally located in Rhode Island, Boston, New York? Yes, and all the others. So really, there's no stopping point here. In fact, and we have this on a upcoming slide too, we see about 2,800 opportunities coming into the Handshake system weekly. So there's a lot happening and it's all over. So there are tons in Rhode Island, but also if the student says, you know, I want to go home for the summer, I want to utilize, and that's out of state, let's say, is home base. And I know I want to be doing this really great thing at this local organization, and I saw this internship posted, so I connected with them. I got it. Can you help me figure out how I might earn credit for this experience? We do that with them. Next slide, please.
We intentionally selected Handshake because it's favored by employers. So a lot of employers in all different colleges all across the country like it because they can post one opportunity to a bunch of different schools and really it makes their lives a lot easier.
Yeah. And yes, you can access a paid internship at any point in time, even if you've graduated. So even if you've decided, I'm going on to something else, it may mean you won't want credit for it. You don't want to pay for credit anymore, do that paid experience. We also encourage pay concurrent. It depends, actually. Again, my t-shirt. If a student is in a degree program that allows for it, where they could get paid and get credit, we definitely encourage that. And we work with your student to know when that is possible. It's not possible if you're doing clinicals. It's not possible for pharmacy rotations. So there are some hiccups there. This is our employer relations team. These are the people who are working with our community partners to identify different opportunities that we could be posting to and sharing with our students. These are also the people who help create all of those career events throughout the year. So it's pretty dynamic team. Next slide, please. Here's our Handshake. And if you are an employer who is considering posting and looking for new talent, post with us, right? Like post here at the University of Rhode Island. What's better than that? So like I was saying earlier, we're seeing quite a few internship and job postings weekly, and we start to talk about Handshake as early as the first year seminar. We do this because we also have all of the on-campus jobs. So for students who want to work on campus part-time during their academic year, we have those part-time opportunities posted in Handshake as well. So our on-campus employers are posting. And then, like Audra said, if you want to utilize this as an alum beyond graduation, because you're still looking for things, you absolutely have access to do that. We now have more than 19,000 employer partners on this network posting with us. So it is pretty exciting, and we're really, really happy to be utilizing this. Majority of the places of the institutions in Rhode Island are utilizing this platform as well, making it easier on our employers to post.
So we have great questions coming up in the chat as well as Q&A. So I'm over here typing and then Kim's typing, but they're really good and I want to share them out. There's a lot of questions around the internships themselves. One question was about international internships. So we do have an international office. If it is something that is outside of the United States, then they work with that department to see what's available for credit. Some of the different majors have some unique programs. It just depends on the major. The it depends button again. Same thing with another good question about the requirement of internships. It depends. There are a few different majors that require an internship, or an internship is one of the options to fulfill a requirement. But it depends on the major. Generally speaking, most of the majors do not have a specific requirement. However, I will always push it. I mean, that's really the bridge for students understanding, am I in the right space? But also once they graduate and they have to talk about their experience, those internships are a beautiful space to give them the opportunity to share more. And then, another great question about marine biology and summer internships. And I will detour at the end and show you a resource, because right now is actually a huge time for some fellowships that are coming up. So I'll wait till the end, but I'll share something with that one too.
We also have, what's the minimum number of internships a student needs to graduate? And that's, it really depends. There's no, it depends on the major. So some of the majors will require internships, other majors do not. So it depends on the major. And that's why that curriculum sheet is going to be helpful. And having your student meet with both their academic advisor and their career education specialist. I cannot say that enough. Really, these are two people who are here for your student, whether the student is still within University College or whether that student is out and about in their degree college. We are all here to help support them on determining that. This is just a listing of looking at some of the different industries that are posting with us. This sort of mirrors what's happening within the Rhode Island area too, where healthcare is our #1 industry. So it kind of makes sense from that lens, but I just wanted you to see sort of what's happening here. Next slide.
So those career events, we showed you really quick that snippet of some of the things that are coming up. I work with our College of Environmental and Life Sciences. And so we want things that are big and broad and open because there's so much crossover. You know, somebody who is going to school for business could definitely find opportunities in the environmental and life sciences or in health. At the same time, we also know students want stuff that's more specialized to them. So we're always trying to kind of do all things that we can do. In February, we will have one for environmental and life sciences. We're going to have a spring career fair that is open to all, but kind of leans more towards our arts and science majors. We'll have another one that's health industries, and we definitely like to cross promote. We also like to do whatever we can to help prepare. So there's an event called Build, and that one is a great networking event that connects students, particularly students of color, with mentors and leaders in the community. We also have JCPenney Suit Up event. So if students are looking and need some professional clothes, that's an awesome night. They get a bunch of discounts, really kind of helps them work and build up their wardrobe for interviewing or for these fairs. At these fairs, we've steadily seen growth, but definitely this past year, we've seen big jumps in our numbers. We've had a lot of our fairs come with over 600 students coming and attending. So you can see in 2022 to 2023, we had almost 400 organizations attend the fairs. We had over 4,000 students attend the fairs. We are always looking for more opportunities. We always have students who are interested. So if there's an organization that you work with and you want more information, we're happy to contact and connect offline about ways that they can be present that are big and formal like a fair or that are smaller events. And here's my LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. So I like LinkedIn because I think it is a great system. It's a great tool that I use all the time. I often use it with students who are saying, what can I do with my major? What are the possibilities? How do people get into this field? And those are big questions. So every school has their own bucket of alumni. So all I do is having a LinkedIn account, would search for the University of Rhode Island in the search bar. Then I would click on URI, and then there's this little part alumni. And at any given time, we have anywhere from 90,000 to 100,000 alumni on here. It just depends on the day. Once I'm in here, I can look at our alumni in a few different ways. So I can start by saying, oh my gosh, there's an organization that I'm really curious about. But we're going to start by saying what they studied. And so let's start with psychology. So if your child is a student studying psychology, they might have those same questions. What can I do? Where can I be? And just looking at psychology, I can start to see what are some of those common organizations that people work with. I can narrow this down by location. So for everyone who's asking, hey, what are those opportunities in the New York area or in another state? If I have a student who's really interested in research, I can look at that. So it's always just kind of this way of narrowing it down. I can start to see all these people under here, what they do, what their experiences have been, and their pathways. So I use this all the time as a research tool for a student trying to understand what's possible. and how to get there. I also think this is hugely important for connecting, and it's an easy connect. I work with alumni all the time. I work with employers all the time. And just because somebody is a student, that's it. They're just a student. Even better if they're a student who went to their school, they are willing and happy to connect and share a little bit of time. So definitely one of my favorite resources. Another service to students and particularly to our alumni. So this is available to students today. And then as they graduate, a lot of times alumni are also looking for what are those opportunities. There's URI Career Connect. And so it's kind of like a specialized LinkedIn. Students and alumni can set up appointments in the system. So they can find somebody that shares their interest. It might be a group that they were both part of, or an athletic, a sport that they both did. And then within the system, they can reach out, schedule an appointment, see availability. They can see what people want to talk about. This is what the landing page looks like for it. And then some of the numbers currently. So over 3,000 people active on the system right now. In addition to all of the career resources that are virtual, our university alumni engagement is also looking for other opportunities to kind of bring people a little bit closer. So one of the upcoming events, a virtual career panel for women in the arts. And these are events that are held throughout the year, different groups, different panelists. But this one is coming up just next week. If you're interested, another event. And then we are sharing the slides, so you'll be able to have access and see when you can register and connect. You can also just always look at the URI FAE page. And we had started talking about this a little bit.
I've been feverishly typing. So hopefully I'm keeping up with what everyone is asking between the Q&A and the chat, but if I'm not, then just, ping us again. One of the things that we are very curious about always is, what are our alumni doing? It's so important for us to know how that degree helped to support that alum in pursuing that dream job or where they had ultimately hoped to be. And so what we've done is on the CCEE website, so the Career and Experiential Education website, is that we've posted things like this, like what are some of the alumni occupations or titles that our alums hold? Who are some of the employers that have hired them? By no means is that list of 10 exhaustive, but it just gives students an opportunity to look to see, where could I go? I mean, Audra showed you LinkedIn, and so there are so many ways in which you can move forward by just looking at LinkedIn, but I think this is helpful. I also love that word cloud with alumni skills, and the reason I do is because it helps me to work backwards with the student to search for courses that, again, that intentional course selection to say, if we know that animal science and technology graduates are saying these are the skills they're utilizing in their roles, let's make sure you get that research course in, because I see it there so large. It's telling me. So this is one way we try to help our students, is just by looking at what are our alums doing and how can we work through some of that. Also, if a student comes in and says, my dream job is to work at Pfizer, we'll look on LinkedIn to see, do we know anyone at Pfizer? Let's have that student, when we make the recommendation, connect with that alum. And then also to see what kind of internships they've either posted on their website, or if they've posted it on Handshake, what they posted on Handshake. Next slide, please. We conduct a survey of recent graduates each year. So we do this for the entire graduating class. And usually 6 months after graduation, we send this out. And consistently, here are some of the things that we're seeing. We typically see that 75% of our recent graduates are employed, which is what we hope. We hope that they have found some kind of opportunity that aligns with the major. And typically, so 83% of the time, it aligns with the major. Then 15% of our graduates have moved on to graduate school. So to me, what that means is 90% of our graduates are doing the thing they hope to do upon graduation. And that's pretty awesome. So we get really excited by that. Other students may have taken another semester of classes, or they may have decided that they're taking some time off from school and kind of searching for what that right next thing is, or some travel, which I think is, again, awesome if you can. Next slide, please. So we have been listing a lot of different links throughout the chat. And I want to make sure that we continue to give those to you, but these are two that then trickle down to lead you to all the others. And then just to clarify, because this has come up, Handshake is not accessible to family members. It would be accessible to your student through their single sign-on or SSO. That's how they get in. And then I see undeclared, which is awesome. Best advice for undeclared first year student, future internship abroad, right? For all undeclared students, one of the first things we're asking them to do is to take some of their general education courses, because sometimes through the general education course, you realize, oh, I never knew I was going to love this particular area of interest or this field until I actually experienced it. So that's one of the first things. Another thing is, within University College, we offer a course called UCS 270, and that is major exploration. So in that course, our colleagues who specialize in working with undeclared students do a deep dive with the students into what are some of the different options that you may have. Let's do some self-assessment, like who are you and what are your strengths and skills and what are you really meant to be doing? And then that's how they'll pair them up with different major options that they might be going towards. So that's one of the ways in which, but if they're taking their general education courses in their first year, they're staying on the right track because they have to do that across the institution.
We have good questions too about kind of that our international both ways. So someone who's here who wants to study abroad or to earn credit for an internship. So we talked about that. That's working through our international office. If there's someone who's an international student, it always depends on their visa status as to what opportunities. But typically, gaining internship experience is part of their education, usually part of their visa. It's just a matter if it can be paid or unpaid. For somebody who wants to extend their visa, it will depend on the area and once again what their status is. So I know for our grad students often are in this position and they're able to work in their field for a couple of years after they've completed. And so that's something that in that case, our grad school would work with them. If they're an undergraduate student and they're in the same position that the visa will cover them, they just have to be working in the field, then we would happily work with them to help find some opportunities. And we are education, like it's that education mission. So when we say we're going to work with them, it's we have ideas and we know the field and we're going to coach them and train them. They're going to be the ones taking the action. So there's never a placement. They're learning how to do something, and then we're here as their guides. Lots of great questions about internships, and I'm totally biased, but I love it because it's just the big bridge. It's the thing that's going to help them understand. I did say I wanted to share a couple of specific things, and I'll put them in chat, but they're time sensitive. So there's always something time sensitive, but for our CEL students, so environmental and life sciences, this site, so Handshake definitely, but also this site is a great site for upcoming opportunities in all different areas. And if they're in, sorry, I'm trying to copy and paste and move boxes around. If they're in CELs, a lot of opportunities that are special research opportunities, the internships with the federal government, these fellowships that are longer opportunities. Now is the time, and really now till mid-February. So one of our staff members in environmental and life sciences They created this and it's a wealth of information. So I just put that one into chat. I'll put another one into chat too. But tons and tons of different programs. So the Coastal Fellows, there's ones that are more medical based, like INBRI. These are all coming up right now. There's something called REUs, which are research opportunities for undergraduates, research experience for undergraduates. Those are throughout the country. So for everyone who's saying, I don't know where my child's going to be, maybe they're going to come back home, maybe they're going to try a new place. Those, they can search by location, they can search by type. These are really science-based. Some are communications. This other one is an incredibly fantastic site too, so I'll put this into chat. But this similarly, it's just this is broader. So this is looking at all different opportunities. And the person who runs this is always adding. They just added like an extra 200. So there's almost 400 different opportunities. They come at different phases. Usually for these, they're very, it takes a while. Like the processes are usually long. So they're terrific at whether your student is in their first year, second year, third year, fourth year, like seeing what's out there. So we'll just look at health real quick. Just really cool hands-on opportunities that are paid and unpaid. And that came up a lot as a question, like, can something be paid or unpaid? For us in earning credit, it makes no difference. An internship could be paid, unpaid. What we're really looking at is making sure it's a genuine learning experience for the student. What else? What else are the questions I missed in the middle of things?
I know what and I hope it's all coming through on the chat because I'm writing to hosts and panelists, so I hope that everyone can see. No one can see all the things I've been typing.
We will share some of the things have gone out to everyone. But yeah, if it's been specifically to somebody.
Oh, I see your comments, Kim. Great. So let me say, one of the questions that just came through, do internships begin junior year? The truth is an internship can begin at any point in time. It doesn't always necessarily need to be credit-based. So if a student, I have a senior in high school now doing an internship. Of course I do, because it's me. So of course I'm going to say go do an internship. So I would say to you, internship opportunities for credit would be something different than when can an internship opportunity begin. Junior year is a good time for it because then a student feels like they have more of that content and understanding and awareness. And you want them to feel more confident as they go in. Plus, maturity is an issue too. So, you are working within the industry. And this is the first step towards gaining access to references and meeting who could be your future potential colleagues someday. So I do see that. I think that makes sense. I would say too, and for all of the questions that continue to come through that are very specialized, I would say to you, have your student make an appointment with their career education specialist. So within that Starfish platform, a student can go in and sign in right away, see who's in their success network, and then they can make that appointment with either their career specialist or their academic advisor. So if they're not sure if they have credits available for an internship and they're wondering about that, they could talk with their academic advisor about that. If they wanted to talk to their career specialist about different possibilities and what they could be doing, they could talk about that. So yes, I hope that's helpful.
So they have access, but I know a lot of people are asking, so I'll put this into chat too. If you're wondering who the person is, you can look here. It has each of our names and our majors that we advise for. So if you say that you're really interested in chemistry, you'll immediately see, oh, hey, there's Lisa. She's the person for chemistry, as well as here are her other majors. And yes, for anyone who is debating internship credit, it depends on the major as to what your options are for receiving credit. So it can go through our department. We work with hundreds of internships and people earning credit. It also can go through some of the majors. It just depends. Like I work with criminal justice. They do not have that option. It strictly goes through our department. I also work with political science. They could go through our department or they could go through political science. So for anything that's going through our department, we would approve it. If someone's just kind of going, I don't know what my options are, great, come talk to us. We'll talk about, once again, what any of us are going to look for to make sure it's a positive learning experience for them. You all have great questions.
Yeah, I'm
And-
looking too. Some are very specific too, like if you're going into entrepreneurial and you know that the student has a particular focus area in mind, could they do that? That's when I would say definitely talk with the career advisor. And so for the College of Business, her name is Kathleen Jackson. And I would say if the student is in their junior, senior year, it's Kathleen Jackson. And if it's earlier on, first, second year, it's Molly Williams. And again, that's all in Starfish, so you don't have to remember any of those details. The student just has to log into Starfish to see who their advisors are.
But I will tell you, if they are interested in entrepreneurship, whatever their major is, we do have something on campus that's the Launch Lab. It is one of my favorite places. They have a ton of resources. They have virtual reality. They bring in mentors for people who want to start business. They've been working a lot with our student athletes who want to start businesses. They had a great story about somebody who is a soccer player and wants to create affordable products. And so they've been working with him hands-on. They have a ton of they do podcasts there. So and they have 3D printers, just so many things. So whether it's just a for fun personal thing, or I've had students who've interned through the Launch Lab too. All
See
right.
if there's any other questions and checking here. Where's
Yeah,
this located? What a great question. Back on our initial slides, I should have said that in one of our very first introductions. We are in Roosevelt Hall, so all of the University College functionality is in Roosevelt Hall. We're right next to the library, if that helps to give you some context. So academic advising and career advising are on the first floor of Roosevelt Hall. And then the Academic Enhancement Center is on the 4th floor and the 1st floor and the library, because we are bringing tutoring everywhere. So hopefully that helps your student to find us as well.
Him and I, so I know a lot of people have asked about recordings. So the recording will be on YouTube, as well as we'll share these slides. So that way you can go back and click on any of the links that we have. And then, for those who are kind of navigating both areas too, Q&A is one section and chat is another. So the chat resources, it seems like, have been visible to everybody. So make sure you click on chat if you want to see a couple of those links that we've been popping in, as well as the response to some of the other questions.
Sure, and to search the YouTube recording, I believe it is on the alumni YouTube page. So do I have that right? That goes back to our colleagues from the Parents Council. Oh, great. Thank you for putting the direct link in, Kate. Thanks. That's great. And then, some of you had just mentioned that your students are in their senior year and they are experiencing some levels of anxiety at this point in time of the search for a position. And I think just one of the ways in which students function right now is to compare themselves with other students. Did that student already get a job? My friend has a job. I don't feel like I have where I need to be yet. And as you all know, it's a journey. It is not a finish line, and it takes some time to get to those places. But I do believe, and I know we sound maybe like a broken record saying this, but meet with the career specialist, because that person is really meant to help the student put it all into perspective. I think they're the ones who make rational situations out of things that can feel just too big and too overwhelming. And they're too big and too overwhelming because the student just doesn't understand it yet. I mean, it's just like when they first arrived on campus, right? How am I going to make my way here? Is it all going to work out? And we understand that. So you have a lot of very kind-hearted, thoughtful, and knowledgeable people who are going to help your student to navigate that tricky path and provide them with different resources. And sometimes it's just a step-by-step thing. So they might say, let's start with your resume. Let's just make sure your resume is where it needs to be. And then the next step is, now let's work on your cover letter and make sure that's where it needs to be. Have we completed our search? That can be another time. But a meeting with a career education specialist doesn't mean that it's one and done. They can do this, meet with you a number of times. And the career specialist wants to do that because they're trying to create a rapport with their students and learn more about them. I mean, I teach graduate students in a practicum class, and those graduate students are also like, I don't have a job yet. Graduating in May, what should I do? It's January. We have time, people. We'll get there. But let's get all the right steps in place in order to get there. And I think that that's what these people are really helpful in doing with your students, you know. Just a note, students are encouraged to make sure they have personal mobile identification, right? Yeah, they do get texts on career fairs. Mike McCauley's here. That's so great. I'm so glad to see you here. Yes, so we do notify students via text that there are opportunities coming up for events just in case we're reaching them last minute, because we want them there. We want them to feel confident in that. We provide them with lists of different organizations that are coming and what they're actually recruiting for, just to help them in the process. And then before your students even walk through the doors to meet with those employers at those fairs, we stop them and say, how are you doing? Do you feel good today? And a lot of them will say, I'm nervous. They don't want to talk to me. What's going to happen? And it's, no, they're here because they do want to talk with you. They really want to get to know you. So let's just work on that before you get in. What's your pitch? What are you going to say? How will you introduce yourself? And then they go through and they come out like a new person. I'm so excited. I met 3 different organizations. I met 10 organizations, and I feel like I have things I can apply to. So it is really exciting to see that happen with students. We have the best jobs on campus for sure, Audra and I, because we get to be on this pathway with your students who, you know, for so long have been enrolled in classes and really just want to say, I've done it. Now I want to do the thing that I was always set out to do. So thank you for sharing them with us.
Yeah, and thank you for everyone's putting in such kind notes. We're happy to do this. We've been doing this for a few years now, each year, and it's answers some of your questions, but it feels good to connect. So thank you all for coming today. And yes, please send your student children over to us, and we're happy to talk more. Claudia is just going to close us out.
Hi again, everyone. Yes, thank you, Kim and Audra. What an awesome presentation. I feel like I've learned a ton, and I'm ready to make a few, texts to my son, especially to take advantage. But I want to thank everyone for coming. Obviously, our presenters, you who registered and participated, all the questions were really insightful and helpful. I want to also thank any council members who were able to join us today. Hope to see you again soon. And more information, I'm hoping there's a slide about us. Yep, here we are, URI Parents Council. If you'd like to learn more about what we do and how you can offer your support through this avenue, you can contact Alicia Johnson directly. Her information is at the bottom of the screen, and I highly recommend it. Again, thank you all, and go Rhody.